What's up, sports fans? It's time for the week number 3 picks and predictions for the NFL. And before we even get underway, yeah, that was pretty abysmal. That was abysmal on two fronts, not just one. Count them, two fronts, ladies and gentlemen, because my Cowboys completely shit the bed, and then my Rams completely shit the bed. I'm not a happy camper. Last week was quite terrible. But let's just get underway and cover the games here. Miami got absolutely trounced on the Thursday night game. And we went with Miami at home, giving them their 3 points, and they barely scored 10. So there is that. Buffalo obviously pulling ahead of Miami pretty concurrently there. And plus that ridiculous play with the quarterback, and now he's off for an indefinite amount of time, as far as I understood, and just leading with his head right there for no good reason. That's why you take the slide. That's why quarterbacks are supposed to slide. So, yeah, kind of crazy there. Now, moving on, of course, the first game, Dallas. Don't even want to talk about it. New Orleans is a good team, and New Orleans played very well, but that being said, this game should have been a lot closer, even if the Saints were going to take the W in the end. This was very abysmal. 44-19. Are you kidding me, Cowboys? What are you doing? There was no excuse for that. That was an abysmal performance. Moving on to the next one. Tampa Bay does end up winning. I did switch a few picks here. I forget which ones I had at the end of the day, but as you can see, a couple of them were switched. I think I switched 2 picks, but I believe the original pick was still Tampa Bay over Detroit in Detroit, and they managed to win 20-16. So that wasn't too bad. Then Indianapolis over Green Bay. I know I switched that pick because Jordan Love was out, and I switched that pick. I had Green Bay picked originally in my Week 2 video, and I switched it thinking, okay, Jordan Love isn't there, blah, blah, blah. I don't think Green Bay can do it. And then Indy manages to still lose. And I was like, okay, then. So that was kind of odd. So one switch didn't work out so well for me there, right? Then I went with Tennessee. They scored another 17 points and lost by another 24 again. What is up with that? So, it's sort of a repeat of last week. New Orleans scores like in the 40s. Tennessee scores 17, but still loses by 24. Green Bay, I don't know. It seems to be a bunch of repeat cycles here. Then, as I said, so I picked Tennessee, and the Jets ended up winning. So there is that. San Francisco lost to Minnesota as well. So by this point, I have one win. I have one pick correct. Tampa Bay over Detroit. I lost the Thursday night game. New Orleans beat the Cowboys. Green Bay actually ended up winning, and I switched that pick stupidly after listening to Sports Center, and I should not do that. Then the Jets ended up winning. Minnesota beat San Francisco. It was just crazy. That's when I start to clean up. Seattle beat New England by 23-20. Washington over the Giants, but everybody had that, though the game was kind of close. Chargers over Carolina. But once again, another one that everyone had already picked. So I'm not really pulling ahead very much. My only pull ahead is really a lot of people picked Detroit over Tampa Bay. That being said, a lot of people picked Buffalo and New Orleans. So, I'm not really pulling ahead here. Then Cleveland over Jacksonville. I did have that Cleveland Browns pick. They did manage to defeat Jacksonville. I always thought they would. That one's a little more pull ahead. Take a couple more losses with picking Baltimore over Vegas. What happened there? I didn't even watch that game, so I have no idea what happened with Lamar Jackson and Baltimore to only score 23 points on the Raiders of all teams. But it is what it is. And then also, of course, my Rams getting absolutely destroyed, decimated, defeated. Like, you're supposed to be good enough to go up against Detroit, who's supposedly a good team, but after losing to Tampa and barely beating the Rams, who then get dog-walked by the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, so basically, here's the process of events. I get the TV outside. It's a glorious day. You know what I mean? Didn't have a great day. I had a pinched nerve in my neck and all this stuff. But I managed to get the TV working outside. I was happy. It's bright sunshine. There was all this stuff. And then I start the game and the Cowboys shit the bed. Then the 5:30 game rolls around. I'm already in a bad mood. I didn't make a great meal for myself, blah, blah, blah. The snacks weren't working. And then, boom, I'm watching the Rams get their shit kicked. So it was just a bad Sunday for football, because my two teams, being, of course, always Cowboys 1-1. But then being, my second team has been the Rams for many, many years. It's my father-in-law's team and stuff like that. I just... both teams decimated, disappointing. It just wasn't my Sunday. I do clean up at the end of Sunday, though. Pittsburgh beats Denver. Kansas City beats Cincinnati, though very, very close. And Houston pulls out against Chicago, but closer than I would have liked. Finally, we move on to the Monday night game, but Philadelphia lost to Atlanta. By 1 point, but they still lost. So I only clear this week with 8 measly points. Funnily enough, not a whole lot of people did that great. I guess it was kind of a weird week because I actually pull up in ranks by 3 points, by 3 spots. So it is what it is. But now let's move on to the actual week 3 picks because I want to get this out before kickoff of Thursday night. So let's talk. So for the week 3 picks, the Thursday night game is the Jets in New York up against New England. You know what? All right, fine. I'll take the Aaron Rodgers. I'll take Aaron Rodgers over New England. I'll take him over the Patriots for this week. He, apparently was quite impressive. Didn't watch much of that game. I flipped through. When the Cowboys are playing especially, I focus on that game and I don't do a lot of flipping around to find out what happened. I see some highlights in the morning and stuff. That's it. And then if the Cowboys aren't playing, I like to flip around and find the best game to watch. You know what I mean? But I still flip-flop, especially in fourth quarter when the games are close and stuff. That's how I watch football on Sunday. But I didn't see much of the Jets game, but you know what? All right, fine. We'll go with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers apparently still's got something to prove, or he's got some fuel left in the tank, as it were. So let's see what he can do here on Thursday Night Football. So I'm going with the Jets. Then I'm, of course, still picking the Cleveland Browns. I'm going with Cleveland over the Giants. I mean, most people are, so not much of a crazy pick there. I've picked Tennessee twice. They've scored 17 points twice, and they've lost twice. Gonna go with Green Bay. I shouldn't have changed my pick against the Colts last week. So yeah, I'm going with Green Bay. Going with the Packers, not going to change that pick. Indianapolis in Indy over Chicago. I'm going to give the Colts a redemption shot, just like I did Tennessee and the Rams, and quite a few teams from last week. So. But you get 2 in a row, and then I start picking against you. You know what I mean? If I get burned twice. So now I am going with Minnesota over Houston. This one is a little bit... Houston's more of the favorite, I understand, but they didn't look so hot last week, and Minnesota managing to beat, in my opinion, the best team in the league, or at the very least the best team in the NFC in the San Francisco 49ers. I got to go with Minnesota this week in Minnesota. Maybe they'll be too, high off their britches, like, we're the best, we beat San Fran, we can do no wrong, and Houston will capitalize on that. It's possible, but no, I'm going to go with the Vikings this week. Then New Orleans, scoring almost 100 points in 2 weeks. I'm going with New Orleans. New Orleans over Philly, 100%. Philly just lost to Atlanta, who couldn't beat Pittsburgh, apparently, or whatever that was. So, yeah. Whatever, going with New Orleans. Obviously picking against Pittsburgh with the Chargers. Then Tampa Bay, who hasn't didn't disappoint me last Sunday. I'm going with them over Denver. I really am. They're in Tampa. They seem to be, the rust is all gone. It's week 3. It's time. We'll see in the next couple of weeks what teams are actually in this to win it. You know what I mean? Vegas over Carolina. Honestly, this was a tougher pick for me. The only reason people say that Vegas is the favorite is because they won last week over, obviously against the team Dallas has to contend with this week. But the fact of the matter is that Vegas isn't very good either. So, but Carolina is apparently the worst team in the league by stats. Maybe I misheard that, or they're right there next to the bottom. So I am going to go with Vegas at home, but I'm hoping for Carolina to actually bounce back and beat the Raiders. I've never liked the Raiders. So, Seattle, Seahawks in Seattle over Miami. Yeah. Miami still hasn't... Miami doesn't have their quarterback. So, I mean, this is when time, this is how Tom Brady got in. It's time to shine sort of idea. This is an opportunity for, I don't even know the backup's name, but I don't know. You still got to find your sea legs first, so I'm going with the Seahawks. And I am going to pick the Cowboys over in Dallas over Baltimore. The only reason being, had Baltimore beat the Raiders, I would 100%, no shred of a doubt, said nope, because there are a couple of times you got to pick against even your favorite team. But in the last 3 seasons, in the Mike McCarthy era, it seems that when we get destroyed, our bounce-back games, as they're referred to as, bounce-back games, we seem to all of a sudden show up. And every Cowboys fan knows it. Where was this team last Sunday? We know that. We've been saying it now for 3 seasons in a row with our 12-5s. So I'm just saying that this is a bounce-back game, and Baltimore doesn't look hot. So, gonna go with Dallas. I don't know how well that game's going to go. Depends on if they actually show up to the game. Same with Baltimore, to be fair. Obviously, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens didn't show up much to the Raiders game, only scoring 23 points. So, there is that too. So, I don't know. I don't even know if that's going to be a good game to watch. But that is my pick. I will still stick with my Cowboys. So, it's disappointing. Now, I am going to pick against my number 2 team, the Rams, even though they're in Los Angeles. I'm picking against them and going with San Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco might have lost last week, but they lost to the Vikings. The Vikings are pretty good, and the Rams have lost 2 in a row. And they got blown up by Arizona, which, funnily enough, I'm picking Arizona in Arizona to defeat the Lions, because though all the analytics will tell you the Lions are supposed to be a top 5 team this year or a top 10 team and all this stuff, they haven't shown that to me yet. They beat up on a Rams who just got 41 points scored on them the following week, and then they lost their next game. I'm not that impressed by you, So, I'm going with Arizona, the one who scored more points. And then Kansas City over Atlanta. Though Atlanta beat Philadelphia, maybe Atlanta has more to prove. Maybe they were just shaking the rust off up against Pittsburgh. Who knows? But I'm going with Kansas City over Atlanta. Buffalo in Buffalo over Jacksonville, 100%. And then Cincinnati over Washington. I think Week 1 jitters just screwed up Cincinnati a little bit in Week 1. Week 2 they did quite well to keep Kansas City right down there to the wire. So, I think Cincinnati will have no problem defeating the Commanders. So, those are the picks. Those are the predictions. What do you guys think? Let me know your own picks down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And once again, it's any given Sunday, so all these could be correct, or I could be full of shit. I didn't pick as many upsets this week as you guys can see, because obviously worked out for me with 11 points week 1. 8 points, not so happy. I'm already behind the 8 ball because I'm less than 20 wins already going into week 3. I don't like those odds. I want to get at least a good 12 points here in week 3, so I picked a few more favorites of games I was unsure of. So, is what it is. You guys let me know how your football Sundays have been going, and how about them Cowboys? We still gotta have faith. It's only early. So hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you back here next time. Have a good one.